Hey everyone, I am Teachpine and welcome to the first episode of my Enchantment Analysis video series. Today we're talking about the Diadem. The Diadem is a tier 5 item, which means we need components with the combined component value of 5 to craft it, and it provides us with power equal to 4.5% of our max mana. The Diadem has 3 different enchantments. The first one is Blood, which costs 250 gold and gives us health equal to 10% of our max mana. The second one is Mastery, which costs 320 gold and gives us 3% extra magic damage. And the third one is Rejuvenation, which costs 280 gold and gives us mana regeneration equal to 0.2% of our max mana. These 3 enchantments give very different stats: health, power, magic damage, and mana regeneration. So if we ask a question, which of those enchantments should we get, then the answer heavily depends on the situation we buy the item in and the hero we buy the item on. So let's instead talk a little bit about the question, if I really need that stat, is this enchantment an efficient way of getting it? So let's start with Blood. Blood, as I said, costs 250 gold and gives health equal to 10% of our max mana. I introduced the concept of component and starting item efficiency in the introduction video. If you didn't watch that yet, you should do that now. Welcome back. And now we use that concept to calculate the worth, or how much these 250 gold the blood costs are worth in health points. So we take the component efficiency of health, which is 0.1889, and multiply it with 250 gold. So this gives 47.22, and this means if we would only buy health components, then 250 gold would be worth 47 points of health. In order to make blood more efficient than buying health components, it has to provide us with more than 47 points of health. So when does it give us that many points of health? Well, it gives us 10% of our max mana. So what we do is we take those 47.22 points of health and divide it by 10%, or 0.1, or we multiply it by 10, which is all the same. We get 472, and this means as soon as our mana pool is bigger than 472 points of mana, then blood is more efficient, or a more efficient way of getting health than buying health components. Okay, let's do the same for starting item efficiency. We multiply the starting item efficiency for health, which is 0.2662, with 250. We get 66.56. We divide it by 10%, and we get 666 points of mana. So as soon as your mana pool gets bigger than 666 points of mana, then blood is a very efficient way of getting health. Most heroes cap out at around 400 health. So take a look at your item build, calculate how much mana you get, and make your decision. If your mana pool is over 666, then and you need some health, blood is a super good way of getting it, as I said, but it's efficient before that already. So when you're around 500, 550, maybe even 600 mana, and you need some health, and you're building a diadem, certainly take blood. It's a good way of increasing your health pool. Let's talk about the second enchantment, Mastery. It costs 320 gold and gives us 3% extra magic damage. So let's only talk about casters here, because on other heroes this doesn't make sense. An AD carry doesn't deal magic damage, and a support uses his power to buff his shields or heals, so it doesn't make sense to increase the magic damage either. So let's only talk about mages here. Magic damage works as follows. Base damage of the ability multiplied with power divided by 100, multiplied with any buff of magic damage increase, like Mastery, 3%. Okay, so we do the same trick. We calculate how much power would we get by buying components for 320 gold. So we multiply the the component efficiency for power, which is 0.0133, multiplied with 320, we get 4.27, and then we divide it by 3%. The reason is that basically the more health you have, the less increase in magic damage every point of extra power gives. Obviously, if you have 100 health, 100 power, not health, if you have 100 points of power and you buy 4.27 points of power, then you increase your magic damage output by 4.27 points %. If you have way more power, then this goes down. And at the point of 142 points of power, 4.27 extra points of power are worth 3% magic damage, or extra magic damage. So the same as Mastery gives, the same value as Mastery gives. So as soon as we get more a mana pool, power pool bigger than 1.42, Mastery is more efficient than buying power components. We do the same for starting item efficiency. We get 6 points of power per 320 gold, and we divide that by 3%, and we get 1.99. So as soon as you get more than 1.99 power, Mastery gets super efficient in terms of increasing your magic damage. However, you have to buy 99 power for that, because you start with 100, and 99 power is quite a lot. So if you ever reach that, then it will be super late game. But Mastery will be a little bit efficient before that, but not before you reach the 1.42 power, obviously. So let's say you're in a mid game and you're considering buying a diadem, or you want to buy a diadem, and you're considering getting that enchantment on it. Then take a look at your power pool at that point, or calculate it, because you know what you build, right? I hope so. And if you get around 1.60, 1.70 power, then Mastery is okay to get. And it will, the thing is, it might not be super efficient at that time, but it will scale into late game, because you will probably buy more power items. So you increase your power even more, so Mastery gets even more efficient. So yeah, again, take a close look at your build. But Mastery is good if you stack a lot of power, but only then. Let's take a look at the last enchantment. Rejuvenation, 280 gold, mana regeneration equal to 0.2% of all max mana. So let's talk about mana regeneration. When is mana regeneration useful? In the laning phase. The value of mana regeneration falls off greatly after the laning phase is over. So you normally don't want to get mana regeneration late. If you build mana regeneration at all, you will build it early game. In the laning phase, or yeah, maybe at the end of the laning phase, but never in the mid or late game. Or normally you don't. So the thing is, you don't buy a diadem early normally, because a diadem scales with time, or with your level, because you get more mana the more levels you get, and more mana means more power from the diadem. So the diadem in general gets more efficient late game, so you don't want to rush it. But let's say you want to rush it anyway for some reason, and you want to get some mana regeneration, and you consider taking rejuvenation as an enchantment for the diadem. Is that a good idea? Let's take a look. We do the same trick again. Always the same math, at least for those enchantments. It gets a little trickier for other items. We multiply the component efficiency of mana regeneration, which is 0.0029, with 280 gold. We get 0.8 points of mana per second. We do the same for starting item efficiency, 1.13 points of mana per second. And then we divide it by 0.2%. And we get a mana pool of 402, or 566 for starting item efficiency. This means, as long as your mana pool is below 402, rejuvenation is trash. Totally trash. And I doubt that you will reach a mana pool of 402 and still consider buying mana regeneration. It has to be a really weird build to get to that point. Most heroes start around 240 mana. Some have a little more, but most start at 240. And yeah, you have to build a lot of mana to get there. And if you do that, you probably don't need that mana regeneration anymore. So I doubt that rejuvenation is efficient in any build. I cannot think of one, but maybe you find one. If so, feel free to share it with me. I would be interested in that, but I don't think this enchantment is good. So yeah, that wraps up the episode. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. I will happily answer all of them, or at least I will try. If you want to suggest an item I should take a look at in the next episode, feel free to comment below again. And besides that, thanks a lot for watching. Have fun and see you next time.